All right, guys, it's Tyler back again. I'm going to swipe through my iPhone and just talk about some things. This is something, to me, it was pretty big. And it's one of those situations where once you see this, you can't unsee it. And it's absolutely damning for the heliocentric model in 1,000%. All right, let's take a look at the Meissner effect and flux pinning, which is also called quantum locking. And essentially, this is just a frozen magnet, or a frozen. It's a superconductor. It's a type of metal. I can't remember what it's called, but there's an abbreviation. I think it's called YBCO. If you want to look it up, but they use liquid nitrogen to freeze this stuff, and then they made this little track, and it locks in and runs its little course here. Something interesting to add, and just to think about here, is that liquid nitrogen is usually around negative 320, 340 degrees, something like that. And they tell us that the average temperature of outer space is like negative 400 degrees. It's real cold up there where those things are floating and levitating, right? Now, that's just if you want to consider space as something physical. But let's just move on. Okay, here is a little experiment. I'm going to run through a bunch of little experiments I did myself with magnets. This is a few years ago, I believe. But right here, this is an EMF detector, and I'm just displaying the basically like the electromagnetic pulse that you can get from a vibration off a magnetic field or a rotation off a magnetic field, which we'll see later. But we'll see it here. Let's see if I can. Oh, I can't use the volume while I'm okay. Well, it'll peg the meter and it goes. There you go. Good sound effects. But there's a couple ring magnets there. And that's just demonstrating the larger effect that that it can have. And that's what's amazing about magnets, is that it's an invisible force. It's constant. It's always there. You don't need electricity or anything. You don't need to plug it into the wall. Don't need to put gasoline in it. It's an invisible force that is always constant. It can push you away, it can pull you in. Just like the magnetism of our bodies, like when we interact with each other. You feel like the magnetism, the spark between each other, you know? But, okay, this is just in case that music gets... So this is some iron filings, just little shavings, iron shavings, inside a glass jar, and I'm running a rotating magnetic field underneath it. And it's just one of those like cheap, one of those cheap little devices off Amazon, and they give you like the little magnetic pill, and you can put it in your water and swirl it around and mix up your drinks and do whatever you want with it. But that's what this is here. That's what you're seeing here. Those are just iron filings. And I'm just showing how in a rotating magnetic field, it holds a shape. I can't control like the frequency necessarily with this setup or anything. It's just like a little accelerator knob that goes up and down, but trying to hold the same shapes was pretty much impossible. But you can see what goes on in a rotating magnetic field. It has a certain shape. This next one is a super close up of it. Same deal. I think that was even the same day. But yeah, just iron filings inside a glass jar with a rotating magnets on a little motor underneath, spinning around, and it holds a shape. It's really neat. And it's going to play into what we're going to talk about upcoming. But I've also demonstrated with my magnet experiments, if you want to call them that, a magnetic field has an effect on everything, no matter if it's organic or inorganic. Plastic bottle cap, banana peel, a chunk of wood. This one's kind of long. Yeah, I tested pretty much everything I could find around the house and in the yard, and discovered that they all do it. Everything locks into a magnetic field. And I know a lot of people are like, well, it's the water. It has to be the water. Well, I understand that water is diamagnetic, but I got it to do it without water in various different situations. That is literally just a chunk of wood on a string. And it is absolutely being affected by the magnetic field. All right. Now this, I don't know if this is real, guys. Like I just included this in here just because it's an example. Well, if it is real, then this is like magnetic levitation. Maybe it's acoustic levitation. I don't know. Again, I don't know if this video is actually real, but I do know that those two things do exist. The acoustic levitation, you can buy like little gift packs off Amazon where there's like little styrofoam balls and stuff. They float, they float for you, and really cool little stuff, which we'll see next. But I just want to give an example. It is possible. But again, I don't know about this video. But here you go. Here's one of those little levitating magnet situations, and notice how it rotates. And a little spinning axis there. So it's possible. So levitation is absolutely possible of solid objects. We get that. This here is a bucket of ferrofluid, and I've got a ring magnet underneath there, and I'm drawing the fluid towards it. And I'll flip it upside down, and you'll see the donut shape here in a second. This is just a lot of fun, too. Just get some magnets and play with ferrofluid. Don't get it on your hands, though. It's horrible. It's horrible, dude. It's the worst ink in the world. Okay, but there you go. There's a toroidal shape. Taking the donut shape. This will come in play in an upcoming... Hold on. Okay, here's another video I did about the maps and the circular shapes and the magnetism in the middle. And we do know on a ring magnet configuration that you can set it up, well, not set it up, but that north is in the center of a ring magnet and south is on the outer edge. I've tested it before, and it's absolutely true. And so here I'm just showing the similarities in the maps and the circles, right? The circle shapes and the ring magnet shape. But what's interesting here is when you go up to, I got ferrofluid on a ring magnet, and the shape that it takes is super fascinating. There you go. Now that's a ring magnet with ferrofluid on it. And you see the center there, which is like Rupus nigra on our maps, like in our compasses, point to the center of a circle, point to the center of north, right? And I don't even know anymore if a compass is pointing to something on Earth or above Earth. Campus saints, man. They're up in the north, right? They're in the north. Maybe our compasses point to that, right? maybe it's Zion that our compasses are pointing to. I don't know. Sometimes I think there's subtle hints like that, but that's totally here or there. Okay. Interesting. The toroidal shape that a ring magnet makes. Okay. The ferrofluid with the north in the center and the south on the edges. All right. And we've got out here in the media land, out here in deception land, they also show us a ring magnet configuration set up on Earth. That's from a national weather forecast website. And I just noticed how it looks like a ring magnet configuration when I put it underneath a field finder. That's what the picture is on the right. That's a ring magnet underneath a field finder. And again, you're seeing the north in the middle and the south being pushed out every which direction away from north. Okay, toroidal field, ring magnet configuration. Not necessarily a ring magnet configuration, but the toroidal field, the magnetic. So I don't have a way of testing. Well, I digress here. I'm just showing you the toroidal field and the similarities that's going on here. Okay. And it's going to make even more sense in a second. Now this is a video from Shane St. Pierre. He's on YouTube. He's on Telegram. He does a lot of modeling. He's a smart guy. I've never talked with him before, but this is his video. I want to give him full credit for it. This is a 3D or a computer modeling of the Tycho Brahe geocentric system. Okay. And you got flat Earth, or the realm underneath there, and the celestial running their courses above. And what's going on is you're seeing the retrograde patterns that the planets, the wandering stars, take, okay, as the backdrop of the stars. They move in one direction always, but the planets, the wanderers, who also get worshipped as little g gods, that's from Roman and Greek and all sorts of Egyptian. That's a whole nother video, but keep that in mind. They're the wanderers, the wandering stars, the planets, the planetes, how the Greeks say, or if that's even the right pronunciation. Don't quote me on that. But before you go and say this is insane, okay, let me show you something. All right. How could that possibly be? Right? This is hooey-fooey that a computer model made, right? No, it's observable. Let's just take an example. This is the pentagram of Venus. This is the Venus rose. This happens in an 8-year and I think 1 day. It's an 8-year cycle. And it just so happens they built Washington, D.C. parcel block or whatever it is, what the capital is, and they put it just right in there. And oh yeah, it's all Baphomet and da-da-da. Okay. Again, we're talking about the celestial beings. They worship like little g gods. People are very adamant about the cyclical behaviors of these patterns. And they do make shapes. They make shapes in our sky. And with a heliocentric model flying through outer space or falling through outer space at unthinkable speeds, and everything's going crazy, and we're tilting and wobbling, and we're doing this and that, but somehow we're making perfect patterns always and forever. It decimates their model. I'm sorry, but okay, that rant can go on. Let's not. Let's stay here. Again, observable patterns that they take, that the heliocentric model has explained away and got out of our minds, that it's very simple, that we're stationary and the celestial objects make beautiful patterns in the sky, even to the point where they were worshipped as gods. Okay, maybe that's a piece of it that they're trying to keep away from us entirely when they say it's outer space and it's not celestial. This is not the heavens. It's just random outer space. Right. Ridiculous, okay? It's real, all right? It's 100% real. Shane St. Pierre is not crazy. He is absolutely making sense of this. And his model from Tycho Brahe it's not new too. It's following a model that's from, I think, early 1600s, early 15. I can't remember. Anyways, you can look that up. I'm just dropping names so you can look up things. Okay, take a look at this here. He's got this model now. They're running their elliptical patterns. They're running their the retrograde pattern, the wandering. Right, and it's the toroidal shape, the magnetic field. Now keep this in mind. Take a look at this. Okay, that whole system there. Now this is something I set up a while back when I was still pretty new agey and thinking about, the spirit within and the magnetic power that's within and that kind of stuff. But what I really want to show here is I'm measuring the magnetic bubble. And what's happening is you are visually seeing where the magnetic field breaks, where it has weak points, and where it stays connected at. And it is most definitely a toroidal donut shaped design. And those are two ring magnets with a bunch of copper glued to them. I was just messing around. But check this out. It stays magnetized all the way up in this big bubble. Right? I learned that I could draw off the wall. My wife would not like that. But I learned I could do this for days and just measure these magnetic bubbles like this. Right, look at that. It stays magnetized when it's in the field. But as soon as I drop out of the field, anywhere, even just right next to it, you lose it. You lose it on the plane. Right? Or it gets really weak on the plane. And it stays super powered up high. Okay? And again, I'm not trying to say like this is a shocking discovery that I found or anything like that, but when this came together for me, this was a big, oh my goodness, you can't go back now. You can't go back now. The heliocentric model just doesn't make sense to me. This makes much more sense to me. And I do think things are much more simple than we've been led to believe. And I think the complication of things is, of course, man either outright denying God or just not wanting to perceive it. And I don't mean like these are bad people. Like I know a bunch of really, really smart people who know a lot about science, but don't want to believe in God or just don't believe in God at all. And they like to explain things away. And they like to do math and bring things into the equation that don't need to be there. When actually things are simple. They're like really simple. I hope this helped in some sort of way, or I hope it just intrigued you. But much love, friends, and as always, absolutely God bless. Thanks for watching.